Good morning. Welcome back to Morning at NTV. My name is Malaki Villaodera, and we're still staying with the issues to do with the local council elections that are scheduled to take place tomorrow. It will be a public holiday just to ensure that we have a big voter turnout. But what are the underlying issues that are yet to be addressed? And so in studio, I have an all-ladies panel. With me, I have Peri Arita, beg your pardon, who is a political analyst. She's also the executive director of Women's Democracy Network Uganda. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mala, and good morning.
Good morning. I also have Betty Ethel Nalima. She is the first chairperson of Wachiso District. Welcome to the show, Betty.
Thank you so much, Mala.
Yeah.
And good morning, viewers.
Good morning. Let's start with you, Betty.
Yes, please.
Getting you was even hard because you are on the ground. How is the hit on the
ground? That's very true.
And
I can't hesitate to say that from the Democratic Party. And as I talk, the Democratic Party has put several candidates in this election, and we're expecting wonderful results. That aside, it's quite interesting, and we wonder, was this easy ready? As Uganda as a country, were we ready to have elections after 17 years? When you look at different items, when you look at all the logistics expected, just look at the recently concluded election of the women councils. Look at the way they were voted. Really, coupons, as if you just have to cut papers. You reach somewhere in Entebbe, some candidates manage to photocopy those very coupons. They get into the line as many times as possible. Then what do we have an issue in the country? Are we ready as Ugandans? Look at the mode of voting which we took on. As other worlds are getting e-voting, for us we are busy lining up as a country. You wonder, are we ready? Are we really serious as Ugandans?
What are women saying on the ground with regards to the past women council elections that took place last week?
My goodness. First of all, greetings, by the way, to you people of Wachiso District. Special greetings to Wege Division voters. And I know tomorrow you'll be ready to take on several of them. Then when you look at the women in the country, remember as women, much as we are ready to take on the men concurrently, but still there are some aspects which we still need to be encouraged on. As women, we still have our roles, not only in the kitchen, but elsewhere.
Right.
So now, the very mode of voting is making these other women, whereby they're in the same Nigina group, they have to see that now one is supporting the other, another one is supporting the other. How dare can you make one woman line behind another, and yet she's supposed to maybe support a chairperson? So basically, as I get started, we have a problem. The mere fact that Ugandans, we accepted to vote through a line in this technology age, we have no wonder. Just imagine in the technological age, someone, instead of planning to give us Wi-Fi the way one promised, another one is just going to increase taxes onto the internet-related technologies. So basically, as Ugandan, I still bring it back. Are we ready? Are we ready to take on this economy, to see that it's moving on? If voting is one of the aspects of democracy, then you say that the best way is lining up. People are busy using biometrics. We are supposed to have these tabs. We are supposed to have these phones. Elect concurrently. But we take on lining. And then, worst of all, the lining is in such a way that even there is no strings to demarcate the voting area. I can show you several other instances. Like yesterday, we are having somewhere in Nasana Municipality, Chemando area. Someone is busy still writing. Recall that as Democratic Party, where I belong, we already disturbed. By the way, its officials are conducting themselves. We are busy asking for registers. The registers, who is who in that very residence? Who is supposed to vote the following day? One tells you until when we get permission.
When you get permission.
So
there's still loopholes in the format of voting, and like you're saying, it's anti-democracy.
And you wonder then what they call display. If I went and they checked, because at least in my residence I was there, I could check my name. But remember, you are checking only you yourself who is there. But the officials, the assistants who are on ground, they cannot enable you until when you get permission. What time is it here? When I have busy candidates who are up and down, and also when myself I'm up and down. What time will I have to follow each and every village? I move out to ask for permission for that register. I think we have a problem.
Madam Peri, you are at the forefront when it comes to matters women and fighting for their rights. What are your concerns with regards to the voting of lining up behind candidates?
Thank you, Mala. As a number of women organizations, when the proposal was made, because Parliament amended the law to ensure that this election is by lining up, many of us were up in arms because even with the secret ballot, at times some women are asked whom they voted for. So it can easily lead to domestic violence in homes, particularly if a wife votes differently from her candidate. That has been a genuine fear, and we are hoping that tomorrow our fears will not come to pass. So we hope that this will be the last time that elections in this country are held by lining up, because world over people are moving to the secret ballot. Because one, it protects your choice. You know, it reduces intimidation of the voter, and it ensures that you vote freely. And if you look at our constitution, the EC has a duty to organize free and fair election. One of the things that makes an election free is the mode of voting. If I'm afraid to line up behind a candidate just because everyone is seeing how I'm voting, I'll either choose to stay home, or I will vote for a candidate who is not the best candidate for that position. So those are genuine fears which we have expressed in the past, and I'm really hoping that this is the last election we're holding by lining up.
We all have the same concerns, especially as women in this panel. But our President, His Excellency Yoweri Museveni, had other views with regards to the same format and what this means to Uganda. Let's take a look.
To remind you about the LSC1 elections, which are on the 10th, the day after tomorrow. The method of voting will be by lining behind the candidate of your choice. We are to do this because of cost. We tried to use the method of secret ballot, but it was very expensive and also full of arguments, who cheated and all that. We therefore decided to go back to our old method of lining up behind the candidates. Our principles are four. Number one, we believe in patriotism. We don't believe in sectarianism of religion or tribe. We also don't believe in gender chauvinism, looking down upon women or neglecting the youth. To find that 14 million Ugandans are using internet, that's change.
That's what he had to say.
Interesting. it's ironic because you should be moving by a
contradiction?
Yes. Now, what he's saying is that lining up behind voters is more, you know, right and more accommodatable when it comes to the financial sector, financial aspect. It's more affordable. Is it a financial factor, or what exactly is it? What's your take?
Mela, it's interesting. And today, when you look at economics of the country, there are some things you have to prioritize. Now, and interestingly, it's a very contradicting statement upon what the president of the country is talking and exactly what is being implemented. When you want to look towards change, and today when the world has technologically got divided on, it has moved on and several other aspects are getting around, then you say that we are moving towards change, we are embracing technology, but then when you look at some aspects, the best way Uganda is going to take on is lining up. And you are saying that we are embracing technology, we are embracing the internet. And remember, as far as internet is concerned in the country, as we move around in other cities, there is free Wi-Fi. For us in Uganda, we are busy taxing even the social media to discourage entirely internet usage. So basically, that statement is so contradicting, and we can't have any take on it when you say that that even talk about the budget.
Yes.
16 years or 17 down the road, You can never plan amongst the priorities that vote or elections of LCs are going to be given a fair cost. Because look at even the kind of papers, the coupons, I call them coupons, yes. The ones for lunch. Eh? The kind of, I was so much involved under women councils. I looked at the coupons, what we are being given, and you said that is now what the cost managed. Then why didn't you tear different books? Perry, why didn't you do them yourselves?
Perry, he also says that voting behind, you know, the voting system of people lining up behind the people they support is also good, because then it will cancel out the issues to do with irregularities when, you know,
like
most of the time.
Because
with the secret ballot, there's issues to do with people losing unfairly and such kind of things. So he says that with lining up, we will clearly see the person who has won. What's your take?
Mala, can I tell you one thing? With this interesting issue of ours, what happened? You know, as we talk today, as long as EC is interested or the government is interested in a certain candidate, anything is possible, and this is the country, Uganda, where we are living.
Right.
At 10 o'clock, a certain village is voting. Then at 11, the same people, okay, who have voted from one point, they quickly run to another village. At 10:30, they are voting. At 11, same people. Remember, they have been given coupons which were photocopied at night. This electoral, yesterday I was calling one of the EC officials in the district. I'm like, you people, how dare could you have done this to women councils? And already we are starting to get feelers, we are starting to get complaints. Dear NRM, if you are not ready for this election, please accept that we are in the field. The same football match you've prepared, we are going for you.
Yes,
so accept the norms of what you've done, and let's get for the game.
We hear you.
Yes?
Perry,
so
you had something to say.
Yeah,
Perry,
two things. Maybe the difference between the women councils and the local council elections is that for the local council elections, they're all happening at the same time, right. 11 to 11:30. So they may avoid that issue of one running from one village to another. The only fear I have is they have said there will be a distance of 2 meters between each candidate's photo or the candidate, him or herself. You know, so if there are huge crowds, how will they ensure that people remain apart? For instance, if there are 4 candidates, how will they ensure that the 2 meters is maintained in terms of distance between each candidate and that order is maintained? You know, those are some of the fears. Controlling large crowds at times can be difficult. So I don't know how many security officials are being deployed.
And that's another matter. If at all a given place has been demarcated as this is a given station, how dare can the EC even to get strings to demarcate? People come from nowhere, from the different shops around, from all corners, they join the line. And because you are interested as EC, because you are interested as a certain group of those ones going through, still you cannot even say no. If you can't get strings, then let's go for banana fiber. Somewhere.
We all agree that lining up behind candidates is backward and it's not pro-democracy. Let's move on. The issue to do with the candidates and the age limit factor. We are having candidates who are over 50 years, others 60 years. What 80. Do you have to say? 80.
We have 80 candidates.
What do you have to say about that? Right here, we're young people. We are leaders in our own spheres of influence. What do you have to say about that? We can start with you, Perry.
I think it's important for young people to offer themselves for these positions.
Is it an issue with young people not offering themselves, or it's an issue with old people, incumbents who are old, who don't want to step down?
You know, we have not had this election for the last 17 years.
Right.
And Uganda's population is majorly young. About 78% of this country is comprised of young people, the youthful population, majority of whom are under 15. You know, so with an election, it's upon every individual to offer him or herself for leadership and then sell your candidature. So if there is no age limit in this case, it's important for every Ugandan who thinks he or she can serve in that position to offer him or herself. And this is where the parties become important, because remember, this is the first time we're having this election under a multi-party system.
Right.
Parties should have prepared candidates to offer themselves for leadership in these LC1 elections.
Do you think for us to be able to cut this off and to ensure that in any electoral process we have the young people coming off, that if members of parliament pass this as a law, that if you're at a certain age, then you will not be eligible to vying for whatever position? Do you think that will help?
My dear, I think today in this country, Uganda, and compared to the young age which we have, There is no need. Age does not matter as such. It depends on one's reasoning capacity, one's ability to take on. I'll give you an example. I'm having a candidate in Buto, that is in Gweyoke Division. He's called Ben. He's some young man, but the kind of ways he's handling his matters, the way he's been able to talk to this young boy, and several of them, and remember, because of the young population of this country, many of them will go for this young person, and is the very person who will manage to lead them. Because if 60%, over 60% there is age mates, then let them plan. Good enough they have us who are a little older, okay, than them. They are able to consult. Nonetheless, I even have some others who are like 60 in some areas. But because of the village, the village residents, it's quite elderly. Let's go for that. Don't bring again an 18-year-old to take care of the 50s, 60s. Nonetheless, someone who is having an old stick, an 80-year-old, okay? You know, these matters of the administrative units, these are administrative units, and for LC elections, they take on their functions right away, and under the Local Governments Act here from page, like on under Article 48 of the Local Government Act. So if you look at a certain point, whereby at times they have even to advise on matters of security, sometimes they have to get to in maintenance. Other moments, we have to call them to aid, like now in my area, Chireka, we have to work on Burunji Wansi. If you really that village, you elected an 80-year-old, at times the overload can be so small. Now, I would say on that take that, please, any village is responsible for the kind of person it will take on, depending on the age group.
Depending on the age group, it's
maybe one other important thing is, let's look at the roles of this LC chairperson and his or her executive, because as Betty has rightly said, they're also responsible for adjudication of certain cases. You know, so you have to bear the roles in mind as a citizen when you're electing these people. They're in charge of monitoring service delivery, they're in charge of security, and then the cases which I've talked about, adjudication. And you know that many of them, for the LC1, there are certain cases which they can handle, and there are certain cases that they can't handle. Right now, their pecuniary jurisdiction is 2 million. So cases under 2 million, but many of the cases which are related, they will handle some land cases, particular land which is too customary land. They will handle assault, they will handle cases of battery, they will handle domestic violence. You know, so it's important to bear that responsibility in mind when you're choosing that kind of, when you're choosing the LC1 chairperson in particular. So for me, the age is important in terms of how this person will be able to manage those responsibilities. But I also would like to agree with Betty that, you know, when you're like a bit old, there are certain things that you may not have the vigor to do. And that's why it's important for young people to be involved. They are the majority in this country. They can offer themselves for leadership and let the people decide. Let's
truly hope that in the coming elections, all these factors are put into play. There's this other issue, like you're saying, they have the LC leaders have key roles to play in the villages, and this comes with, you know, like you're saying, dispute issues and many other, you know, administrative issues that come into play. But what struck me is that when they have the qualifications, the requirements, the eligibility standards for someone to stand to become a leader, then academic qualifications is not looked at as an important thing. Do you think this will affect the quality of leadership at the village level?
To be not as such, because one fact is that for these LC1s, especially now at this level, later on some of them will be elected to become LC2 chairperson. So with administrative units, the way it is that administrative, look at here, under 49, functions of the executives. They have to assist in maintenance of law, order and security, initiate, encourage, support, and participate in self-projects and mobilize people. So basically, no need of academic qualifications in mobilization skills. Okay, fine, one might have an added advantage, but more so if you are going to have to mobilize someone to come for a meeting, because this is a meeting that is concerning your villagers. They have to decide what they will need. Probably more which is done, and we have it like every end of month in my area. You have to do Bulungi Wansi, that is community work. Okay, you no need to do slashing, no need to get a hoe. You don't need any academic qualification as such. So basically, I would say that maybe the secretary, that if the chairperson has taken on a role, that person just needs to ensure that the secretary who is handling the record keeping and the rest is really having a better academic sounding point.
Perry, your view?
Yeah, you see, education is important in a number of factors, and that's why I always encourage leaders that even when a position does not require an academic qualification, education adds value to any leader. Because one, if you cannot read and write, and you're adjudicating cases before you're going to have a problem.
Exactly.
You know, some of the records, some of the things are written in the English language. So I always encourage, particularly women whom I work with, that if this position does not have education, you try and go to school. I mean, get informal or formal education, because it will add value. It makes you more effective. You know, it enables you to read wider. It enables you to build networks that you may not have. It can open certain doors for you, because I'll tell you that you'll find your classmates in different positions in this country. You know, so it's important that you get just some level of academic qualification, because it will help you as a leader.
So it will come in handy.
Exactly.
It's come out that we have over 3,800 villages that will miss out on this particular elections. Is Wachiso district, so to speak, what's your take on that in Wachiso district?
In Wachiso district, I got to know that still there is also a small anomaly, but still, since it's being sorted, okay? At any other time, even those who might miss out, because what is happening, by the time it was in 2002, the residents we had as Wakiso, they're not these residents we have today, which is approximately 3 million, much as the official results of 2014 are approximately 2 million. Now, what is happening? The provisions for dividing up a given LC. If in Chira municipality, earlier on there were 40 villages, and today we talk of 52 villages. The different institutions like LC1, LC2, and LC3 by then Chira Town Council went on to subdivide those villages, and then it gave the EC a role to ensure that they are gazetted, and they were later on gazetted.
Right.
But what happened with Ministry of Local Governments, some of these villages that were subdivided, especially, I'm comfortable talking about a place where I know, some of these villages which were subdivided, again those records have not yet gone with the Ministry of Local Government. Actually, now that's where we are having the gap. That the number of what EC has got is different from what Ministry of Local Government.
Right.
But some of these others have already been gazetted. But nonetheless, Wakiso residents in those very areas, I can't fail to say out that the populations for us we have as Wakiso, and that's why many times you hear us talking about status. We can't fail to say that if we have a population of 3 million, same services being given, same number of villages, when you look at this local government, the provisions it gives per village, for us, I think we shall find ourselves only multiplying by 10, because the numbers we have in these places, they're even far worse than that of a city in each and every ward. In each and when you come to the municipalities, it wasn't. So basically, now because the local leaders went ahead to subdivide, now the local government has not got what EC has got, especially in some of these places, local government has not. But I know it's their government institutions. At the end of it all, the Minister of Local Government, where we fall, will have sorted it out together with the Electoral Commission, so that at least residents of Wakiso get due service by electing their candidates who are supposed to serve them. Because remember, it becomes a very big workload for us who are at higher levels, for leaders at municipalities. When you work and you don't have the people who are feeding you, you don't have local councils, it is disturbing. You cannot continuously come from the district level, then you have to mobilize people for LC1, please come up, let's know what we are going to include in the next budget. It still brings a gap. And when a certain chairman still takes on a very big village of over 50,000 people, and those that is unequivalent. We have some villages which are of approximately 100,000, and you look at some districts in this country, that is almost their population.
Right.
So today, we are talking about populations in Wakiso district of a given village that are equivalent to some districts, their populations in the country.
Okay, we have so many issues to talk about, but as we come to a close, what are the selling points for these candidates? If someone is to win this time round, what should they sell to the village residents? And what should the village residents stand up for in terms of what they expect these leaders to give to them once they're in office?
I think security is key, for particularly areas of Wakiso and Nansana. I mean, where we had a number of murders of women in 2017 and 18. The candidates must spell out what they will do to ensure that there's security in the village. And then they will also have to tell voters, you know, in terms of service delivery, what are their plans to ensure that what the voters usually communicate with the district gets to the village. And I think I agree with Betty that the structures at the LC are very important, because if you look at planning, it's supposed to be bottom up. You know, so these structures then provide an opportunity to inform the higher structures of what's going on. So the other important thing, monitoring service delivery and ensuring that money, there's value for money. It's important that the candidates who are vying for these positions present a plan in that area. There's adjudication of cases, as I said. There are certain cases that the LC1s are mandated to handle. So they need to be able to explain to the population, you know, what they intend to do in that regard. So for me, the voters should know the roles of these candidates whom they're electing, look at the candidate and see whether he or she offers the leadership that the voter expects. And then these elections are supposed to be held after every 5 years. It's important for voters, one, to attend the meetings that will be called at this level, different meetings that the LC1s always call, but to also ask for accountability in terms of security. For instance, if the LC1 and the committee say this is what we are planning to do, they should be able to give accountability to the village to say, okay, this is what we set out to do, this is what we have achieved. That can happen if there are regular meetings called by the village council, I mean the LC chairperson and his or her committee. That can also happen if people use different opportunities to have interface, because don't wait for meetings. I mean, if there's a problem, most times we know where the LC1 chairperson stays, you know, going up and saying, okay, what has happened in this area? These days we have WhatsApp, and that's why I'm really saddened by the social media tax, because in many of our villages, when the issue of insecurity became a problem, many of us were using WhatsApp to communicate. You know, so taking advantage of those the technology that's available to have interface with the leadership at the LC1, and also for the LC1 to continue to know who is in the village, so that they're able to communicate effectively, get their numbers, see how you can ensure information is flowing. That will be critical in terms of ensuring that there's accountability.
Okay, Betty, your take, especially now that your district has been, you know, hit by a lot of insecurity issues.
Not only insecurity, Wakiso as a district has several unique features, and for us who are leading it, together with my boss, Honorable Matia Rangawanika, and many others, the executive, the council, and all with due respect, we have continuously said that we need a special status. Wakiso district needs a city status. You know, why we're talking about such matters? Because each and every level of administration has certain other ingredients that go with it. For us as a district, there is no you can continue like leading urban people. The biggest part of Wakiso is urban, and whereas we are still considered as a rural district. So now we somehow our hands are handcuffed. That's why we are saying no, we need a city status in order to get on well. And even now, because of the city status level, even our villages, our zones will be considered separately and differently from the ones of another rural district. That's why we are still saying no. Even the security matters, because the given chairman or chairperson will be given a smaller number of people to manage. It will be in position, he or she will be in position now to take on the village well, and at the end of it, the district will have better security. That's why continuously, and fellow Wakiso residents, fellow Wakiso stakeholders, please join us as Wakiso leadership so that we can advocate for a better status of this district, so that later on you can have good services in this country. Back to your point, Mala. When we talk about a chairperson of a given zone, a given village, remember, as stipulated under Article 50 in here, Section 50, is he or she is the political head and is supposed to also administer the general function of that zone. So it means a lot. So many things are getting on. Is the political channel, is the responsible for linking up the district, the municipality, the town council, the sub-county, and his residents. So it means so many things are going to be done from the district level to that very village. Take an example of NERA services today. NERA, as we talk, now Wakiso district has decided let some of those services be extended to the town council levels because the district was so crowded. It's now this chairman who will continuously tell you that we have so many residents who have not registered. We have so many residents who have not got cards. Many functions take on at village level, but as this chairman or chairperson is just a channel, communication channel to us. I cannot, and I was telling the residents yesterday, at times you may take so long to see the MP. You may take long to see the chairperson of the district. You may take long even to see your district councillor, like the way some division members may take long to see Naluima, who's representing them. But what happens with your LC1? You know where his residence, where our residence is, and then you are able to tell him, as I get a call from the LC1, I just know that this is something urgent. At least even though we meet at around 9 p.m., we are able to discuss a matter that is going to help. So someone who is a village chairperson has a very strong link with the residents, and the
link up.
Up.
Thank you so much, ladies, for coming in studio. This has been a very heated discussion. We've raised issues. I truly hope that after 5 years we'll be having better LC elections with better ways of voting. That has been the discussion for today. My name is Malaki Vilodera. Keep your engagements coming. We truly appreciate them. Up next is Take Note.